Hello everyone, I'm John Evans, and welcome to another episode of One-on-One. This week's episode is a real treat for me, and it's not just because Lyberty Anderson is a great golfer. She is. The UNCW Seahawk just won her second straight CAA Women's Individual Golf Championship. But it's also because Lyberty Anderson is a great story. Wildly successful growing up in her state of Virginia as a junior golfer, and as a high school golfer, she had a lot of success too. She enrolled in the University of Virginia and had some success with the Cavaliers, but that's also when some problems started to develop. And at one point, things got so bad that Lyberty contemplated taking her own life. But a phone call, a change of scenery, and now 2 years later, and things sure have changed for the better.
When I transferred here, I got a part-time job. And, I wanted to build like a little bit of a savings to kind of help me when I got out. But it's incredible to juggle a part-time job, a full-time job of being a D1 athlete, a full-time job of being a student, and all the requirements that come along with that, all of the responsibilities the commitments that you make to especially when you get to the higher level classes, because I was in a PR2 class where we're working for a client. And that's like having another full-time job. And It's just, I've got 2 animals. I've got a fiance. So I've got like 5 full-time jobs right now. So I'm pretty confident that when I graduate, I'll be able to handle one full-time job, actually working for a living.
So I imagine a 4-footer for par, and when your balance and all that is not as hairy as it might be for the recreational player on a Saturday or a Sunday, right?
A 4-footer for par is a walk in the park compared to everything that I go through on a daily basis with school and golf and part-time job. And I love my part-time job. It's helped me gain work experience, but it's also like helped me make connections that I didn't think I would have made in the golf industry, you know what I mean? So it's just everything has just been on the right track since I transferred here.
How confident are you in your abilities on the golf course? I mean, you've had so much success, and I want to go into it, but are you the kind of golfer that goes out there and says, I can beat anybody else on this golf course at any point in time? Or do you say, boy, I really got to buckle down now, I've got to make this? How do you approach a round of golf when you're at it?
Yeah, I think it depends on the situation that you're in, but definitely I'm one of those that's like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I can beat anyone here. I have the most talent. I have the most ability. I have the most experience. Usually that's kind of how I feel when I go out there. But then there's other situations where, it might be raining or, my putting might be a little off that day, and then I have to say, yeah, I need to buckle down, and I really got to work at this. For example, my most recent CAA championship, that wasn't just I'm going to go out and win, because I was coming from 3 shots behind, and that was one of those situations where I really needed to buckle down and say, hey, I've got to get my crap together. Yeah. And I've only got 9 holes to do it.
Yeah, so. And because of the weather, you played 27 on Saturday, 9 on Sunday. You're 3 behind. You bogey early. But the leader did too. So, I mean, take me through that last 9 holes. I mean, it had to be almost like was it a match play? Did you take it like a match play, or did you have to do better than that at that point?
No, I took it like a match play. It was just kind of like you had to. There were 3 of us in contention. We were all playing together, and they both bogeyed. I bogeyed, and I knew that I wasn't out of it at that point. Both of them lacked the experience I think that I had, and that really helped, winning a previous CAA championship and also winning a regular season event this semester too. But when they both make bogey and you think that you're still hanging with them, you've just got to take it like match play and just try to win the hole. Right. If you try to, make a par and then make a bogey and you're getting 1 shot on them, you're gaining 1 shot every time you make a birdie or whatever the case is. And it just so happened that day, both of them made a double, made a couple mistakes, and it's unfortunate, but I was able to hold steady. So.
As you went along there, the experience that you had the year before winning it, I imagine, had to at least calm your nerves a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say I was nervous just because I didn't feel like I had a lot of pressure on me. Unlike last year in conference when I was very close to the lead, I had held the lead early, and I was the leader going into the day last year. Yeah. So that's a little bit different because you've got a whole nother load of things on your shoulders at that point.
And a target on your back.
Because you've got people like Ariane Klotz, who is a very, very talented golfer, and she has a good amount of experience. She's only a sophomore, but she was in contention last year, so she knows what it's like to be in contention. And every tournament that they play throughout their season, she's always in contention. Yeah. So, but just having that one championship under your belt, knowing that you can close it out, is a really big deal. It's just like in sales, you know, if you can close out a deal, you can close out a deal, then you've got more confidence going into your next one. So
when you put it all, I mean, you're still have to graduate here, and you're still got a couple more weeks, I would imagine, in the entire scheme of things at UNCW. But when you look back at it, and only the third person to ever do back-to-back CAA golf championships, second female to ever do it. 73.0 scoring average, which was a school record. When will those register? Or after you won it that day, did the second CAA championship register in your mind?
I don't think it's still registered, and it's been, I guess, like 2 weeks now. Yeah. No, it has. I think it will register. I'll tell you, I think it'll register next Sunday when we have our golf banquet, our end of the year golf banquet. That'll be the last kind of golf related thing for me. The guys are going to go on to regionals, as you know. They won conference this past weekend, and that was just awesome for them. So they're not done yet, but I'm done, and our team is done. So I think that's when it will set in, is when, I'm walking out of the program, and that's the final hurrah, the final goodbye. So I think that's kind of when, like, all these records and all these, back-to-back CAA, and the fact that I won it again and came from behind, it's just still all kind of surreal. But I think once we finally, like, kind of, tap the, what is it called? Like the judge does. What's that? Oh,
bang the gavel?
Yeah, bang the gavel. I think once we bang the gavel, then it's gonna all sink in.
Gotcha. When you were over that last putt on the 18th, or your 9th hole on that Sunday, what was going through your mind? Just the putt? None of this other outside stuff? Are you good with taking that outside stuff out of it? If I make this, I win? Or what was in your mind?
I think that Coach and I were kind of confused with what the putt meant.
Really?
Yeah, we thought we knew, but we didn't have it wasn't really set in stone. It wasn't very concrete where we knew where we were. And I kept asking her, look at golf stat. I need to know what's going on. I've got like 3 shots left in this whole entire tournament. I need to know what I need to do for those next couple shots. And I knew that was for par, and I knew that I thought I was 1 shot ahead. So I just said, I don't even know what this is for, but I'm going to make it. Because I wasn't sure. It was a walk in the park, 2-footer straight uphill. I mean, it was no big deal. That's like you said, the 4-footer for par is a cakewalk compared to what I do on a daily basis. So I wasn't really concerned about that, but it was just kind of like we didn't really know what was at stake. So I think that made it a little bit easier. But like I said, I've been there, I've been through it. Last year my CAA run, my conference run wasn't the best performance on the last 5 holes, but I still got it done. And last year I actually did miss a 3-footer for par on the final hole, but I still did win by 1 shot last year.
You had a little extra cushion on that 18th hole. The car crash in 2017. It really kind of knocked you backwards, really kind of hurt you physically. How long did it take you to recover from that? Because you then got another injury after you tried to come back. So was it as much of a mental game, or was it all just physical after that happened?
It was all physical. Maybe a little bit mental, but primarily physical, because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't move. I couldn't swing the golf club like I used to. It was just everything felt off. And that first swing that I took when I was released after my car accident, something happened with my wrist, and I don't even know what it was, but it was probably the worst pain that I felt in my life. It was
really?
Yeah, it was just the strangest thing. And I couldn't even grip a club after that. You know, it was, I don't even know. So that was kind of disappointing.
Right.
But I don't think it took me on a mental roller coaster. I think it was more of a physical one, just because my body was fighting back and trying to fight back from the accident, and now it had to fight, you know, 2 battles with my back and my wrist. So I wouldn't say that I'm thankful that I got into a car accident.
Wow, nobody.
But but it did help me kind of take a step back, because I've been playing this game since I was 5.
Yeah.
And it does take a physical toll on your body, especially when you get to the D1 level and you're working out and you're lifting weights and you're doing a lot of things that your body's not used to. And it really gave me the opportunity to listen to my body and tell, you know, figure out what it was telling me. So it was nice to take a couple months just to listen to what it was telling me. And
yeah, because I mean, I'm a recreational golfer, and if I miss a Saturday or a Sunday, especially if it's nice and I have something to do, I'm itching to get back out there. I mean, I just want to play again. But for somebody who's got, I mean, it's like a full-time job for you. Yeah. Really, it was. So I guess it was the break, in some small way, was actually good then, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was very good for me emotionally. It was good for me physically by far the best. And also mentally, just to get my studies back on, you know, the right course, knowing that I was going into my senior year. I had 2 semesters left, and I took a heavy course load every semester that I was here. Yeah. When I transferred, just because I wanted to graduate in those 4 years. And to do that, I had to take a very heavy load, you know, 18 credits every semester, summer classes. So it really gave me time to focus on the part that's hard for me, which was school and my body. Golf comes easy. So that's just something that is kind of, you know, it's always a cakewalk.
Sure. Did it put golf in a different place in your mind and your life, though? I mean, maybe whereas you might have wanted to do golf for a career, did it shift golf anywhere in your mind and in your priority level?
Not really.
No?
Before the accident, golf was kind of, I knew where golf was in my priority level, and I knew where golf was in my life at that point. That kind of was clear to me after I transferred from Virginia. So I knew that I wasn't going to do it after college, but I knew that I was going to make the most of what I had left to do it, you know, play competitively at this level. So I don't think the accident had anything to do with that. That was just... it just happened. When did
you decide? Because and I want to go through some of your earliest times here, but you know, in an article May of 2012, you say you want to play on the LPGA tour and then be a golf fitness instructor or a college coach. That's what you said. Now 6 years ago now.
I did say that. I remember saying that.
Yeah. When did the priority change? When did all of a sudden you said you don't want to do golf after you're done? When did that change?
That changed after my experience at Virginia. That changed, I want to say, in my first year of college at UVA. It was just difficult to pinpoint exactly when in those 2 years, because those 2 years were just really difficult for me.
Can you explain how? Or I don't want to get too personal, but can you explain how?
No, yeah. So I was just really unhappy in a really bad mental state. I was struggling with depression and suicidal thoughts, and I just didn't want to be where I was. And so that was really hard to be in such a beautiful place like Charlottesville, and to be close to home and still feel that way. So there were days that I didn't think I was going to make it to even be a golf fitness instructor or to be a college coach or those kinds of things. But it really changed when I realized that I didn't want golf to be my whole life, the rest of my life. That there was so much more to me than just golf, being known as the golfer.
Right.
It's actually funny because I was at Great Clips yesterday getting my hair cut, and this guy recognized me. He was like, "Oh, you're Lyberty," and I was like, "Yeah, that's my name." And he was like, "You're Lyberty Anderson, the golfer?" And I was like, "Yes, sir, that's me." And he was like, "I recognize you from the papers and things like that." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, you know, like that's really cool, but it's really hard when you grow up being known as the golfer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's just so much more to me and who I am and what I have to offer. Not that I don't like being known as this amazing golfer, but not a lot of people know me on a personal level. They just know me as the exceptional golfer.
Sure.
So I think that's kind of when it changed, was when I realized that I have so much more to me than just that.
You told John Smith that transferring to UNCW saved your life.
Yeah, it literally saved my life when I transferred here and I realized how great this place is and just like what it was able to offer me that Virginia wasn't able to offer me, and what it did for me on an emotional level, on a personal level. It saved my life. I was, to put it bluntly, I was wanting to kill myself. So to move here and to not want to do that, you know, like I've completely changed state of mind when I got here. And, you know, with the help of therapy and things like that. But I really think that it was that change of scenery that really helped.
How did Wilmington become the place you wanted to go? Did you know Cindy beforehand? How did you pick UNCW?
I don't even know how I picked UNCW. I did know Cindy, but like I just knew who she was. Mm-hmm. I just knew her as like this little Asian coach. That's the only way I knew her. And she'd been watching me since I was like 10 or whatever. And so I knew who she was, but I definitely didn't think I'd end up here. And I ended up here just because she felt the need to call me and just ask about if I wanted to transfer or if I wanted to just quit golf all in all. And that was a really hard decision for me because when I decided to leave Virginia, I was quitting golf. Mm-hmm. I quit the golf team. I was going to go to VCU full time and get a business degree. So I wasn't even going to play golf at that point. And then, you know, Cindy called me and I thought about it. I talked to my parents about it. I reflected a lot on what had happened the past 2 years at Virginia. And I was like, I think this could be something that could really be beneficial to me as a person, not as a golfer. Yeah. And, you know, my parents and I came down here on Easter weekend, and I was like, wow, I really, really like it here. And, you know, I'd played in the landfall tradition when I was at Virginia, and so I knew what Wrightsville Beach was like, but I didn't know what Wilmington was like. Yeah. And the two together is just like, it's just home. Yeah. So.
I mean, it's been my home for 26 years now. We raised our kids here. I mean, you know, it is a special place. I mean, I talked Eddie Biedenbach, the NC State Hall of Famer, a couple of weeks ago. I sat down here and I talked to him. He said, Wilmington's a special place. There are special places on this earth, and to him and so many who have retired here but also moved here, it is a pretty special place. And that's really cool that you discovered that it was good for Lyberty, the person, not as much Lyberty the golfer. Yeah. But you still had success here as a golfer. And that's
and I think moving forward, if I decided to do that and play professionally, I think that Wilmington could be and could have been this, you know, this decision to come here could have been and can be something that would propel me in the professional area, but that's just not what I want to do. Yeah.
So Mom was owned and operated a cleaning service. Dad owned and operated a collision center. Mm-hmm.
Growing up. Yeah. My mom still owns and operates the same cleaning service.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Ever since I was born.
What kind of family life did you have growing up there in Virginia? It sounds like to me it was just a loving family, and Dad put a golf club in your hand at the age of 5, and
he did.
He wanted. It seemed like in the research that I did, he wanted something he could share with you on a long-term basis, right?
Yeah, that was kind of one of the only things that we were able to bond over, that and fishing, and then. You know, when I growing up in Virginia in my home, it was just kind of like I worked for my parents. Like we owned and operated a collision center. Yeah. We owned and operated the cleaning service. And so there were numerous days I'd split, like the summer, I'd split the day with my mom and the golf course when I was younger. And then when my dad opened his collision center, I would just go up there on summer days. I'd alternate golf course and body shop, golf course, body shop, and And I worked there, you know, I would sand cars and detail them and wash them for customers ready to pick up. And, you know, I think my dad and I kind of bonded over that, but golf was like one of the only things that we did together outside of work, or like outside of, you know, making a living. So,
sure.
It's definitely something that we still, it's the only thing he knows how to talk to me about, really.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit of fishing, but, you know, like, I begged him when I was 5 to take me with him because I wanted to know what he was doing. You know what I mean? Like, what is golf? What are you doing with your friends?
Yeah.
Like, so that was when he took me, and then I was just like, I really like this. I'm going to keep doing it. And then I played my first tournament when I was 6.
I took my kids to play golf, and all they wanted to do was drive the cart. I
don't remember wanting to drive the cart.
All my kids wanted to do, I got the girls' golf lessons and everything, but all they wanted to do was drive the cart. And my daughter Monica, and I'm going to show you my swing later. I'm going to put you on the spot and have you coach my swing. Uh-oh. My daughter Monica has the best golf swing in the family, and wanted to drive the cart when I brought her out on the golf. I was like, Monica, you've got this great swing.
And all you want to do is drive the cart.
And she just wanted to drive the golf cart. What's your earliest memory on the golf course? Do you remember that first day out there? Or do you remember the first tournament? Or
I remember like a blur of the first time that I really swung a golf club. And then I remember like very vividly my first tournament.
Right.
So my first blur of kind of what I remember swinging a golf club was my dad and one of his good friends who was a assistant professional at a club that we played at, and they were friends. They grew up together playing baseball, went to high school together, and my dad had him come out to the driving range at a place called Rockwood Park, and it was literally just your typical driving range with mats and a double level, you know, just hit out into the turf.
Sure.
And we went there, and I remember using the rental clubs that are in the little bins or whatever, and just swinging away. And that was all I could remember. I can remember his name was Shane, standing behind me, just like, oh, this looks really good. And I can remember my dad and him talking about something, but I just remember beating balls like out into the driving range. And that's a really good memory that I have with Shane as well, because Shane died about 5 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because of bladder cancer. So, and him and my dad are the same age, and my dad's 43, so he died at 38.
Wow. What was Shane's last name?
Shane Wooten. Shane Wooten.
Special place in your heart. Yeah,
he kind of holds the same space as my dad, I guess, but like obviously my dad's my dad.
Sure. Yeah,
but that's one of the first memories that I have of playing golf, and from then on, you know, my dad and I played with Shane a lot at the club we played at. So definitely pretty influential in helping me grow up as a golfer and develop my swing and things like that, even though I was never like formally taught.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty cool.
And you know, I mean, usually these podcasts go like 45 minutes, and if I ran down your litany of success on the golf course, this would be a double or a triple episode here. But yeah, you broke par for the first time at age 10. You shot 69 at Pinehurst, number 5, at the age of 11.
I did. Yeah, I did.
Gracious
I remember that.
me! I mean, that you know, it's God-gifted talent, number one, but. Still at this point in time, was it still fun going through this whole process, playing these tournaments when you were 10, 11, 12 years old?
Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. I remember playing Pinehurst number 2 at the U.S. Kids World Cup.
Yep, when you shot 69.
It was where I shot 69, yeah. That was match play, but we were keeping score. And that was, I mean, and my dad actually caddied for me on that day. And that was really special. Like, my dad and I, we met a lot of people. My dad and I traveled a lot together. My mom typically stayed home. We met a lot of people, and we built a lot of relationships that I still have to this day that I'm forever grateful for. And we had like just a total blast, traveling and hanging out with these people, and still, I mean, I do think traveling and playing is still fun, but just the golf aspect isn't.
Right.
As much, just because I think it was made a job, and and I don't like it as my job.
No,
so
sure, I can understand.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
but at this point in time, having some of the success you did, but there are, if you listen to, sometimes if you listen to children who are in something at a young age, whether it's acting or whether it's performing or whatever it is, after a while it almost gets to be where you're kind of concerned for the child, that it's not the child's idea anymore, it's the parents pushing the child.
Yeah.
But all along here, you're saying you wanted to do this and you were just truly enjoying this all along the way.
Yeah, I was. My parents, had I decided at 12 years old, you know, whatever, to quit and play, you know, I played basketball recreationally on the side as well. So had I decided to say, no, I want to stop golf and I'm going to play basketball full time, they would have been fine with that. All that they asked of me growing up was that I give 110% at whatever it was that I was doing. And my sister's the same way right now. I mean, she's about to turn 17 on Thursday, but growing up, she was a dancer. And she went from dance to softball to now she's playing field hockey. And so it's like just a lot of these different things that she's not really sure what she wants to do, and that's fine. Like, you can have multiple things to do, but the only thing my parents ask is, like, if you're going to do it and you tell me you want to do it, just put forth everything you have to doing it. Yeah. So it wasn't... They didn't make me do anything I didn't want to do.
Yeah. I mean, just, you know, sometimes, especially with child actors, you know, they act and then all of a sudden you forget, or something happens and, you know, they kind of drop off the map. Liberty and Journey's fundraising page from 2008, I found that. And you were, online. It's amazing what you can find online, Liberty.
Everything stays on the internet.
But you and your sister got together and actually put a fundraiser together. Now, you were what?
I was 12.
12 at the time, and you were raising funds?
I would have been 12, and my sister would have been 7.
Yeah. What were you... And you raised several $100s towards your goal, right?
Yeah, we did. That was for... oh, my gosh, was that... That was the Children's Hospital golf fundraiser. I forgot what it was called, but they hosted it at a First Tee, at the First Tee Chesterfield near our house. And my sister and I were on a team... you know, for this little shootout tournament or whatever it was. This is a long time ago. Yeah. And we raised money from just, like, my dad's friends and my mom's customers. Yeah, I saw some of that. $50, $60, $70 here, like $25. That, I
think one business gave $100 towards your effort.
Yeah.
But it's still there. And what I thought it was cool is that you're 12 years old. Your sister, I guess, was 7 or something like that. And you're out trying to raise funds to help other children. I mean, that's one of those deals where you're like, I like Liberty even more now than I did beforehand.
I really like the Children's Hospital. That was like one of my favorite charities growing up, and I'm not even sure why when I was 12. But I did another fundraiser for them when I was a sophomore in high school. I paired with another nonprofit that was a friend of mine, her mom, that she was running. And so I did another fundraiser for Children's Hospital and raised like a couple $1,000s for them. And, you know, it was all my idea. I mean, obviously my sister, kind of her idea, but she was 7. So she's just like, Sissy, let's do it. So, like, it was just kind of like obviously headed up by me and a little bit of help from my parents, you know. Sure. But I set up the page and everything like that. They didn't help me with any of that.
It's still out there now.
Yeah.
You go online right now. You gotta go back
forgot.
And take a
look. I completely forgot.
Do you have, you know, I've never had a hole-in-one, but there are shots that you remember while you're playing golf. With all the different tournaments that you've had, especially when you were younger before college, any shots that just stand out that you're never, ever going to forget? Or have there been just so many?
I think there's been just so many. Yeah. Because if you think about how many holes of golf I've played since I was 5 years old, it's a lot of golf holes. And... there is one that stands out to me that is, you know, from last year, just because that one was, like, more recent. That was my hole-in-one at LSU, playing in the tournament, and I was not having a good day at all. And a hole-in-one was the least thing I expected to happen that day. But I wouldn't say there's definitely one round that stands out to me when I was 6. That was one of my first competitive tournaments ever, and I won the state tournament for U.S. Kids. And it was only 9 holes because I was 6 years old. Yeah. But the night before that, I had to go to the emergency room to get 10 stitches in my knee because I was running and, being a 6-year-old in the house, and I tripped and fell on a carpet strip nail. Like, it was sticking up in my grandma's house. Yeah. And I was just running, playing with the dogs or whatever, and I tripped and fell. So I had to get 10 stitches in my knee, and then I had to play that tournament the next day. And my parents didn't want me to play. They were like, no, I think you should just rest or whatever. We thought I shattered my kneecap, and I was just like, no, I still want to play. Like, I feel okay. So I walked out there with my 10 stitches and my ace bandage. And
you gave it your all and came back a winner.
And I shot like 41, I think, on 9 holes.
That beats what I shot last weekend on 9 holes. I do want to ask you about, in 2012, you became the second female in VHSL history to win the 3A championship. You played against boys, but you played the shorter course.
I played a shorter yardage,
by the rules, you were going everything. There was some pushback afterwards. Washington Post opinion guy, blah, 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 said all this and everything else like that. Take me back to your thoughts on the reaction to that as it happened, because I think you said, I was going to try and play again next year, and I'll play the back tees because I want to get used to playing the longer courses for college. But anger, that people were getting angry, you're just following the rules at that point, right?
Yeah, I was just following the rules, and that was really hard because obviously a lot of those boys and a lot of those parents were intimidated by the fact that I was such a good golfer at such a young age, being a female. It's just that boys don't like to be beat by girls. And just if it was any other female, say I didn't hit it 270 yards off the tee.
Right.
And it was another girl who only hit it 200 yards off the tee. That rule is in place for the typical general female, not me who hits it 270. I don't know why I hit it 270. It's not my fault.
Right. No,
but,
you're just going what the good Lord gave you, right?
Exactly. So I just, I was just following the rules and doing what, the VHSL put in place, and I just didn't see how it was fair that I should have to not abide by the rule just because I was that 1%, essentially, of the females that weigh 200 pounds at that age and hit it that far. And I'm not, I'm not like skinny, but I'm not super fat, and I'm just muscular. It's just I just didn't see. You were just
playing your game and going by the rules that were there.
And I received a lot of was it lashback, I guess? Like people were tweeting at me and harassing me on social media and things like that, and I really just let it go because I was like, these people are so insecure and not confident about their abilities and things like that. And I get how they might see it's not fair just because I do hit it so far, but I'm still a female. But
the thing of it is if you were playing, if you got an exception to the rule, at least from my vantage point, and not knowing about this till I did some research about it, and the one guy from the Washington Post said, if she plays the longer tees next year, that'll be good. That would show she is a real champion. It's like, dude, she won the championship. She followed the rules. What else do you want her to do?
I guess
I don't know how you
put myself on the same level as a male.
I don't know how you were able to put that away at that age. Though that would have been difficult, I think, for most kids to put away the feedback that you got and the negative feedback that you got.
I think that's just because I was so confident in who I was and my ability to play golf, and I knew, like you said earlier, that I knew when I stepped on the golf course I had the ability to beat anybody. From virtually anywhere. If they had made me step back, I still am confident to this day that I would have beat each and every male in that field. Yeah. So that, with a little bit of help from my parents, I was able to kind of rationalize all those thoughts and just let it go over your head. I was going to say, it had to be tough, though. Water off a duck's back.
Yeah, right. Understand. When did you realize, once you got to Virginia, because you shot 4 under 212 to help the team win the ACC championship your freshman year, when at Virginia did you start to realize that this wasn't going the way I thought it was going to go? Was there a time that you can pinpoint?
That was the beginning of my sophomore year. There was just a lot of things that weren't really flowing nicely as far as team dynamic and coaching dynamics and things like that. And just the overall environment of the university wasn't necessarily where I was meant to be. I didn't really fit in there. And, I made that decision when I was 15. I decided to commit to the University of Virginia to play golf at the age of 15. And was it a premature decision? Yes. Do I think it was heavily influenced by my dad? Yes. But I don't have any hatred towards him for that. Sure. Like it's just it's just a bunch of decisions that led to a better life for me. And everything happens for a reason, and I believe that firmly. So I think it was probably the beginning of my sophomore year when I realized that everything just wasn't really going the way I had planned. Not everything was adding up, and a lot of things started to kind of fall apart. And that's when I kind of took a downturn for the worse. And winning CAA or winning ACCs with the Cavaliers was awesome, and being able to finish at 4 under and help us win our first ACC title in history was really cool. And we set a school record, we set an ACC record. We won by 28 shots, I think, or 26 shots, something like that. So that was really cool. But it was when I got back to Charlottesville after that summer that I realized that this isn't the place for me. This isn't where I'm meant to be. I'm not where I belong. So. And
did you, when you told the coach, how did that, understand that, was it a smooth exit to get out of there as well, or was it a bumpy road there?
It was a smooth exit.
Oh, okay.
I think she could see it, especially with all my reports from my academic advisor. I kind of opened up to my academic advisor before I opened up to a therapist. So she was my therapist, and she's required to report that kind of thing. So that's when I went over to seeing a therapist and a psychologist, where it's not mandatory that they report what our meetings are about and things like that. And she was entitled to know that I was in therapy, but she wasn't entitled to know when I was going, who I was seeing, and what we were talking about. So I think once she realized how many times I was going to therapy, she realized that something's up with Libs. This isn't right. She's not in the right place. And I think ultimately we all knew, even my team, I think we all knew that it was time, and it was for the best that I just kind of close that chapter of the book and put it behind me. So
talk to me about Coach Cindy Ho and your teammates this year. I saw you guys out when the Wells Fargo was there, and saw all the teammates out there kind of looking at the pros, but it seems like, at least from following you guys on social media and knowing a couple of you that I do, you guys work, but you guys all seem to really like each other a lot, and that dynamic sometimes is not there.
It's definitely not always there. It wasn't always there at Virginia, and I think that was kind of part of it was just a lot of girls in one location. We had 15 girls at Virginia. Yeah. So coming here to a small team, 5 people when I transferred, and I was the 5th person added in March of that year.
Right.
So coming here with 5 people, 5 very, very different people. We had Martina from Vietnam. She was a freshman when I came here. Ellie from Finland. Yeah. And then Kayla Thompson from Whiteville, North Carolina. Yeah. And Raleigh or Durham for Elena Yates. And so it was just kind of we had 5 completely different people raised in completely different ways. And for all of us to just get along and appreciate one another and accept each other's differences, but also just really enjoy being around each other was really cool. And that was something that I didn't have at Virginia. And I think that everybody here was just so genuine and just so personable and down to earth. Yeah. And in Wilmington and at UNCW. And I can't thank Cindy enough for being there when I needed that change of scenery.
Sure.
Because had I not got that phone call from her, none of this, I wouldn't be sitting here with you today.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for everything that has happened in the last 2 years here in Wilmington and meeting my fiance and you know, had I not moved here, a lot of things wouldn't have happened. And I'm just incredibly gracious for that.
So. Yeah, and blessed.
Yes.
And blessed because of the influences that people, you may not even realize it at the time, but as you go along, there's small little influences of the differences. It really seems to have made a big difference. Do you have any habits on the golf course? I mean, my wife, she asks me sometimes, why don't you wear that shirt that I bought you? I said, because the last time I played, I shot 87.
Yeah.
That shirt has to earn its way back into the rotation.
A little bit of superstition.
Yes. Oh, yes. I still have to have the same size tees. I still have to mark my golf balls the same way. Are you superstitious at all on the golf course?
I wouldn't say superstitious, but if I'm not singing a song, then my round kind of goes kerplunk in the toilet.
Really?
Yeah.
Any song or any specific one?
Just whatever I'm feeling that day. I love music, so I listen to a big a wide variety of music.
Yeah. And
so it's usually something country, but it might be one of the top hits Stay by Zed. That was my song for a conference last year.
Oh, really?
So it's just kind of, I usually have a song for each tournament. And if I don't have it, then it's just kind of the whole round feels out of place.
Right.
So, and I always use the same ball marker.
Okay, I was going to ask you that.
I never change ball markers. So it's a Kiowa Island ball marker that I got at the Ocean Course.
Yeah.
And it has my name on the back of it, engraved in it. And so ever since I got that ball marker, I've never used another ball marker.
That's awesome.
And I always mark it the same way.
Okay.
I use the side that has my name on it that goes face up.
Right. And you have to see it as you're standing over a putt?
Yeah, so if I go to take it off, I have to see where it says Liberty.
Yeah.
I don't use the other side that says Kiowa Island Ocean Course. And
people who don't play the game don't realize those little superstitions.
I don't like the way it looks on the green. Yeah. It looks weird. The other side is bronze colored, and it just looks really cool on the green. And then the front of it, the head of a quarter has it's white with black out. It's cool looking, but I just don't like the way it looks on the green. So I use the side that says Liberty.
I have a couple more questions I want to ask you non-golf, but as long as you are here. And people at home are I'm hoping they get a kick out of when you see this. Because I want you, this is my golf swing, okay?
Okay.
I want you to kind of look at it and kind of just give me, just give me your thoughts as you're seeing me there. That's just practice swing. She's looking at me, or she's looking staringly at it.
Wow. Where'd the ball go?
Down the middle.
Down the middle?
Yeah.
Okay. I could see how it went down the middle.
How's that?
You have really good transfer of weight.
Okay.
From your right side to your left side. So when you take it back, a lot of golfers tend to just hang back on this right side. Even I do it. It's one of my tendencies. So then I start to kind of hit it fat, or it'll go right.
Right.
Or you'll realize that you're far back on this right side, and you'll whip it back into, pull hook it.
Yeah.
But you have a really good transfer of weight, even though you don't have a very long.
I don't.
You don't have a very long backswing.
I don't, and I think that's because of that my left shoulder's really weak. But that swing, I shot 77 on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Now, does that surprise you that swing could shoot 77?
Yes.
Does it?
Yes. Just because of the take back. Your backswing is very, very short, and but you handle it well with your follow through. Just because a lot of people that have a short backswing tend to get short and choppy. Yeah. And yours is very smooth.
There you go.
So that's really all that counts. If it swing easy in the breezy is kind of one of my sayings that I say when it's windy outside. And so that's a really good swing for wind, because it's short, but it's also very smooth. Yeah. So. Well,
I've worked on it, but I don't have as high a handicap as the guys I play with, so I'm always losing on Sundays. I always lose my little bets on Sundays.
So you played this past Sunday?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Over at the Muni. Yeah, we play. We have a regular group on Sundays.
Okay. cool.
Well, that's right. That's a better grade than I thought you were going to give me on my golf swing. I really thought. I really thought you'd say you need to kind of bring it back a little bit more, or you need to elongate your hands, or anything like everything else.
Some people can't. Some people just can't do it, and you just have to work with what you have.
Yeah.
So, like you said, your shoulder thing,
Yeah.
you physically probably can't get it all the way back
Yeah.
there. I can't even take it all the way back as far as I would like to because of my back.
Right.
But it's all about how you. It's all about how you get back to center and impact. So it doesn't matter how you get there.
Tell me about your tattoos. Do they mean anything special?
They do. They do. This was my first tattoo. It is what it is. I don't know if you can
right
see
there.
it.
Hold on,
Over
I'll bring it right there.
Bring the
There it is,
camera
right
over.
there. Bring it over. There you go.
Ooh,
Right there. Okay.
It is what it is.
Okay.
So that's my first tattoo that I ever got, and I got this because a good friend of mine, Carmen Warfield, died from an illness about, I guess it was 4 or 5 years ago now. And I don't know if you found this in your research, but playing at in the Richmond City Amateur was like my thing, starting when I was 10. And I played, and I accumulated five championships.
Right, won it 5 times, yeah.
Yeah, and she was always out there. Always, no matter if she didn't qualify, if she missed the cut, if she lost her match, whatever. And she was always there, and she would always come up to me, and she would ask me, how have you been? Like, what's going on? And it would always be, you can't change it. It is what it is. And she would always, always, always say it. And it was just one of the first things that I wanted to keep with me, going through life.
Yeah.
And so I always just look down at it, and I'm like, I remember everything about Carmen when I see it.
Yeah.
And each of my tattoos has a meaning. I have like a bunch on my,
What about the arrow here?
The arrow?
What is that? Because that's noticeable. I mean, I didn't realize you had another one under the shirt there.
Yeah, I have like a really large one.
Wow.
Yeah.
It looks like a tree that I got under last weekend when I couldn't hit it out. But I noticed the arrow. What's the arrow for?
Yeah, the arrow I got, that was my third tattoo.
Okay.
And I got that because when I was in 8th grade, there's like a story for every tattoo I have.
Well,
so
I've got time.
Okay. So when I was in 8th grade, I was taking outdoor recreation class, and we were doing archery. So there was like a different segment every week. We did like fishing, and then we did like hiking, and it was just fun.
Sure.
So we were doing archery that week, and I thought it would be something I was good at, but I wasn't. I really sucked at it. I wasn't strong enough to like pull it back, and like our pullback weight was just generic. It was like 30 pounds, and I was in 8th grade. I was like 13.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really pull it back, and so then I couldn't even really hit the target, like the big square target, but it's like massive. And we had real arrows, so they would actually like go in the thing, and I couldn't even get it to hit the freaking target, and it was so frustrating. Because like as an athlete, we want to be good at everything we do.
Sure, yes.
And I just wasn't. But after so we worked on that for 3 weeks, and over the 3 weeks, at the very end, I worked so hard, and I hit the target. Like I just hit anywhere on the target. I just hit the target. And so it was just really one of those things where it's like you just keep trying. Like if at first you don't succeed, try again, that, cliche quote. But like I have a story for each of my tattoos, and like I know it seems like a generic like cliche tattoo, but I designed this arrow. I designed everything, like every part of it,
Nice.
Everything that, I mean, I drew it, but obviously I didn't draw this one.
Right.
He made it look better.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like one of those things. If at first you don't succeed, you just keep trying, like, so.
When you walk across the stage with that degree in your hand, you know what's going to run through your mind? Everything that you've been through, the better Lyberty now versus 3 years ago. What's it going to be like?
It's gonna be emotional. I like kind of want to cry right now, but like I'm the first person in my family to go to college and to graduate from college, and not that I'm upset I didn't make it to regionals, but I'm also not upset I didn't make it to regionals. I had a very conflicting feeling with this whole figuring out my ranking thing, because I wanted to go to regionals. I thought that would be really cool to make it to nationals and try to bring some sort of something back to Wilmington, back to UNCW. But also, I worked really hard to earn that degree, and I didn't think I was going to even make it to earn the degree. So school is hard for me, and it's not something that just comes naturally. I have to work at it. And I worked my butt off to earn that. And it's something that I want to walk across the stage and everybody hear my name that I did it. Like, it's just something that I'm very proud of myself for, and I wanted the chance to walk across the stage and to share it with my family and my fiance and her family. And I don't even know what I'm going to feel when it happens, but I might actually cry as I walk across the stage, and the chancellor would probably be like, "What is happening?" Like, and he knows me, so he'll be like, okay, she's just a little emotional. But like, it's something that means a lot to me, and
Well, sure, I can imagine, especially coming from your own self-described depths that you came from a couple of years ago. This could have a much different ending had it not been for the dominoes that fell the way they did.
That's I like the way you put that.
Okay.
I like that. The dominoes that fell the way they did.
Yeah.
I like that.
5 years from now, what do you want to be doing? Where do you see yourself? What are you doing?
What am I doing 5 years from now? I want to have a job. I want to have a career. I want to have a house to come home to. I want to be here in Wilmington. I don't want to leave here. Like, we want to stay here when I graduate. I want to have a career that I just love going to every day. Like, I don't know what I see myself doing. I'm still figuring that out. Which is kind of sad because I graduate in like 11 days. But it's okay. We'll figure it out. Everything happens for a reason.
It does.
So I'm maintaining calm. I'm just keeping it calm, cool, and collected for right now. But I want to have a career that I'm good at, that I just like. I want to be happy doing what I'm doing, because life is too short to not be happy doing what you're doing. So I'm happy doing what I'm doing right now, but in 5 years I want to have that career that just I can make a difference for somebody or for something or for an organization or for a company. Like, I'm a comm major, so really good at like brand representation and things like that. So I just want to be able to help people, I think is what I want to, it's where I want to be.
If I need a partner in a two-man tournament over at the Muni, can
Absolutely.
I put Lyberty Anderson down on my...
Absolutely. Let's do it. Let's do it.
This has been an absolute joy. I remember when AJ brought you in here last year and you made some putts in the studio after you won. But getting to know your story as I have, not only from Cindy, but from John Smithson and doing some research, the triumphs that you have made off the golf course are probably more impressive than the ones you've made on the golf course.
They are. No, absolutely. And like I said earlier, it's one of those things where I like being known as just Lyberty, like not Lyberty the golfer, just because there are so many things about me that not a lot of people know, and I'm so good. I have so many things to offer people, and I'm a good golfer. Yeah, okay, cool. But I'm also like a really good communicator, and I'm a really good designer, and I'm very creative, and a lot of people don't know that. So I definitely didn't think that I would still be here where I'm at, as happy as I am and being successful. I'm successful right now. So
yes, you are. And in many ways, on and off the golf course, like I said. I appreciate you taking some. I know you're tremendously busy, and talking about oneself sometimes is difficult. But I appreciate you kind of opening that door a little bit and giving us a little peek at Lyberty Anderson. And boy, it's really, really great to see you doing as well as you are.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I appreciate everything that you guys have done for me since I've been here.
Thanks for taking the time, Lyberty. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks to Lyberty Anderson for coming in for this week's interview, and have to congratulate Lyberty for all of her success, not just on the golf course, but off the golf course as well. If you'd like to reach out to her yourself, you can find her on all kind of social media platforms, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Don't forget, though, you spell it Lyberty. Next week on the podcast, we sit down and talk to the world's first internet-only banker, the CEO of Live Oak Bank here in Wilmington. That's Chip Mahan.
If you start with your folks and you really, really spoil them, so you talk about our place, right? So
sure.
we do pay at the top of the scale. We do have a 6% 401k match.
Free health care.
Free, complete health care. We have, we started off paying, as you know, I said the other day when you and I were together, fitness expert, a trainer, so to speak, for all of our folks. We're in the process of building a 25,000 square foot fitness center. We do have 3 airplanes that can make it to San Francisco in any condition, so you can get home at night. And what does that mean? That means that you are important to me, not so much me and my role, but if you hire like-minded folks, the last thing in the world that they will do is let a teammate down.
That's Chip Mahan right here next week on our podcast. And if you know someone who you think would be a good interview for an upcoming episode, please, I ask you, let me know about it. Send me an email to jevans@wect.com. And I'm asking you, please subscribe to the podcast, no matter where you listen, on iTunes or SoundCloud or Stitcher. Just subscribe. That way you'll get notified when a brand new podcast comes out every weekend. And if you send me a screenshot of your rating or review, you could be the lucky listener we pick at random, and we'll send you one of those really cool WECT News travel mugs. I'm John Evans. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode of One on One.